Okay, so here when we are continuing on from our fractions, okay, we have this fraction here. Again, just like we were doing before, we want to just have one big fraction being divided by another big fraction. That's not what we have here. We don't have just one fraction in the numerator and one fraction in the denominator, really. Okay, like if I was to try and go and flip this bottom fraction like I've been doing already over here. Okay, if I was to go and flip it like this, okay, well the 2 isn't really involved in a fraction and it kind of confuses things, okay? So what we're going to do before we start trying to flip fractions and change this big, huge division, okay, so this big fraction is a division, okay, before we start trying to flip what's underneath that and change this division to a multiplication, we're just going to write the top line as one big fraction and write the bottom line as one big fraction, okay? So nice and easy, but just to help us get it the exact same as what we already know how to do. Okay, so if I was to give you all this and tell you, can you write that as one simple fraction? Could you? Well, yeah, it's junior cert maths. Okay, what is the denominator that we don't see underneath something if it's not there? What's the invisible denominator? It's a denominator of 1. Okay, I want them to have a common denominator so I can write them as one fraction. So what's my lowest common denominator between a 1 and an x? Okay, well, it's going to be x. And if I want to multiply the bottom here, this denominator, by x so that it's the same, it's a common denominator. Well, if I multiply this denominator by something, the numerator also has to multiply by that same thing. Okay, so straight away there, I can write that top line as one simple, okay, fraction by having it as 1x, or just x, minus 1, all over my new common denominator, which is x. Okay, so I'm going to do that exact same thing on this bottom line. So if you didn't get that, okay, try it again for this bottom line here. Okay, what is the common denominator? And currently that 2 has an invisible denominator of 1. So if I wanted to write that as one fraction, okay, well I would spot that my lowest common denominator is x squared. And if I multiply that denominator by x squared, I also have to multiply that numerator by x squared. Okay, so I'm going to end up with that being as one fraction, 2x squared minus 2, all over my new common denominator, which is x squared. Okay, now I can go back to exactly what I was doing before. I have one fraction dividing another fraction. So I can flip it. Okay, I can flip it around and change it to being multiplying it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to rewrite that top line down as its own fraction. Okay, so my top line was x minus 1 over x. Okay, and now here, instead of this dividing what was in the numerator, it's going to flip upside down and multiply it. Okay, so if it flips upside down and multiplies it, that's going to multiply my top line by x squared, and it's going to multiply my bottom line by, if I can just move that down there, by 2x minus 2. Okay, so when we're looking at these now, okay, we're going to see, can we factorize this out anymore? This bracket's fully factorized. This, okay, I could write it as x times x, that's fine. This x, perfect. This I took down incorrectly. It should have been an x, 2x squared. Oops. Okay, so 2x squared minus 2. Okay, and I can factorize out the 2 in that. Okay, so other than that, everything else is being carried down to the next line. So I'm going to carry down my x minus 1 and my x squared. Okay, and when I'm not changing it, I literally just carry it down onto the next line. Okay, I could have, in that step, I could have noticed that this x can divide that x squared and just leave me with that 1 less x, so just an x on the top line. Okay, or I can leave that until this next step. Okay, so I'm going to factorize out of this a 2. so that I have x squared minus 1. Okay, now in this line I am going to, again, don't have to do it yet, but I'm just going to do x squared divided by an x. Okay, so let's remove one of the x's from the top line so that we're just left with an x, not an x squared. Okay, I'm going to rewrite out my next line. So it's going to be x minus 1 over, so I have 2 by x squared minus 1. Is that bracket fully factorised? Okay, is that bracket fully factorised there? No, it can be factorised further. It's a difference of 2 squares. Okay, so I have an x. The first thing, I was going to try and zoom out, but it's actually too difficult to write on this. So I have my root of the first term, first in both brackets, root of the second term, second in both brackets, put a plus in one bracket and a minus in the other. Okay, now do I have anything in common? Yeah, on the top and bottom line. Okay, and if I want to make it clearer what it's multiplying on the top line, okay, it can be multiplying by 1. I have the top line all multiplying the full top line. X minus 1 is multiplying the full top line. X minus 1 is multiplying the full bottom line. Okay, so I am going to be left with 1 over 2 by x plus 1. Okay, so that there is my final answer.